about $2,000 less than the average cost of living in Orlando.
Welcome back to Moonstone Chariot. If you are new here, I'm Brandy, this is
Ben.
And at the end of January this year, we sold almost everything we owned, said goodbye to our loved ones, and moved all the way across the world to Australia.
And in today's video, we are starting a new series here on our channel, where at the beginning of each month, we are going to be breaking down how much money we spent as a couple in their 20s, living and traveling around Australia.
Now we understand that talking about money can be a bit taboo, but we are incredibly grateful to be in this absolutely gorgeous country, and believe that transparency, especially around money, helps to normalize budget traveling and realizing that traveling does not always have to break the bank. So let's get into those numbers.
When it comes to full-time traveling, your accommodations will most likely be your biggest expense, and most of the time hardest to negotiate. In our first month living here in Australia, we stayed in 3 different hostels and spent $1,168.21 USD, or $1,797.07 AUD. 4 of those days were actually covered in a tour that we paid for months ago, so those will not be included in our total. February had 29 days this year, so minus those 4 days, we were roughly paying $46.73 USD, or $71.89 AUD, each night for 2 people. It is just always a matter of finding the balance between comfort and affordability.
Next up is food. Whether you are cooking or eating out, food is one of those necessities that can get a little out of hand when traveling. We are both big foodies and both agree that sometimes it's completely worth it to splurge a little. Within reason, of course. For our first month in Australia, we spent $366.82 USD, or $564.28 AUD, on groceries, and $661.79 USD, or $1,018.04 on eating out. We did have a few meals covered in our first week tour that we did, and I'm sure there are a few days that we went without breakfast, but roughly we spent $11.82 USD, or $18.18 AUD per meal for 2 people. This is one of those categories that's a little bit difficult, because on one hand, we absolutely know that we could spend less, but also $12 a meal for 2 people to eat seems fairly reasonable.
Transportation is another big expense. Whether it's public transportation, rental cars for road trips, or flights getting around Australia, it can add up. In February, we spent a grand total of $862.66 USD, or $1,327.04 AUD. For us, this did include public transport in Melbourne, gas for our rental car, Ubers to and from the airport, and 2 plane tickets from Melbourne to Cairns. The flights, of course, being the most expensive of the bunch.
And let's not forget about entertainment and excursions. Australia is absolutely massive, and with that there are hundreds of thousands, if not thousands of millions of things to do. From exploring national parks to strolling through museums, it can get a little overwhelming. In February, we spent $435.60 USD, or $670.09 AUD, on entertainment and excursions. This included going up to the top of the tallest building in Melbourne, exploring the botanical gardens via tram, going to the most amazing hot spring and spa, as well as multiple other fun activities.
And last but not least, miscellaneous expenses. For the purpose of keeping this video on the shorter side, we have lumped 4 different categories into the miscellaneous category, which came out to the grand total of $421.68 USD, or $648.67 AUD. This number includes all the shopping trips we did in February, a health and wellness category which includes the yoga classes Brandy took, subscriptions like our Spotify and YouTube Premium, and finally truly miscellaneous, like our RSA certifications and banking fees.
And that is all of our expenses for our first month living in Australia. Please note that this does not include any of our monthly bills like phones, loans, or our insurance on our van back in the US. In total, it cost us $3,916.76 USD, or $6,023.70 AUD. Oh, one thing I did forget to mention, some of these numbers included things that we paid for our entire group on our Great Ocean road trip, and they paid us back $475 $1,289.59 USD, or $731.46 AUD. So if we subtract that from our total, Ben and I spent roughly $118.66 USD a day for 2 people living in Australia for the month of February.
Now that is more than the average cost of living for the 2 cities that we were in during February, but it was about $2,000 less than the average cost of living in Orlando.
We hope this sheds some light on how much it costs for 2 people living and traveling around Australia. As we said, we would like to make this a monthly series, but as we are a wee bit behind, we are going to be doing back-to-back videos.
So if you'd like to see how much we spent in March, make sure you are subscribed and have that notification bell on, as that video will be up next.
If you have absolutely any questions, you know where to drop them. And hit that thumbs up button while you're at it. It truly helps out the channel more than you know. Probably more than we know.
Thanks as always.
We hope you have an amazing day. Bye!